Hi, my name is Emily Chriswell, and I'm going to be talking with you all about negotiations of swinging relationships. So before we talk about the negotiation aspects of the relationships, we need to have clarity on what swinging is and how it differentiates from other forms of consensual non-monogamy. So consensual non-monogamy has broadly been defined by Garner and colleagues as relationships in which there may be multiple sexual and romantic partners, and all parties involved are in complete agreement. One form of consensual non-monogamy that comes up in the research is polyamory. Garner and colleagues define polyamory as being romantically involved with more than one person at a time, with all people who are involved knowing about each other. Polyamorous relationships vary in sexual expression as sex is not the primary focus of the relationships. Another form of consensual non-monogamy is that's found in the research is open relationships. Matzik and colleagues argued that open relationships are the hardest to define because it's been used on occasion as a generalization for all consensual non-monogamy relationships. So there's no clear agreed upon definition in the research for open relationships at this time. The last form of consensual non-monogamy found in the research is swinging relationships, which is the focus of this research. And Gruntmeyer and colleagues define swinging as a relationship in which a couple engages in extra-dyadic sex, usually at parties or social situations where both partners are present. The term swingers or swinging first emerged in the 1970s. However, the practice of swinging has been occurring for much longer than that. Frank Peterson reports that these practices have been going on since 1915 when a free love movement began. This involved groups of people getting together to have what they called petting parties. In the book called The Lifestyle by Terry Gould, he talks about the modern swinging movement beginning to take place in the 1960s. This is what most people think about when they hear swinging and associate the lifestyle with other terms like key parties or wife swapping. In the 1980s, the AIDS epidemic forced a lot of this kind of sexual activity to dwindle and or go underground. Today, swingers will sometimes refer to their sexual expression as the lifestyle, and swingers tend to be more private in discussing their sexual behaviors with people who are not in the lifestyle. So because of this privacy, that swingers tend to be a difficult population to research. The limited research on swinging specifically began in the 1960s or 70s, or around about there. And then in the 1980s, the research on swinging was mostly focused on safe sex practices because of the AIDS epidemic. Then there was a gap in the research for a little while, and now the majority of research on swinging relationship is often lumped in with other forms of consensual non-monogamy. And so it's really important to explore the topic of swinging without other forms of consensual non-monogamy included because they are different. So while the research does tend to focus on consensual non-monogamy as a whole, there may be an overlap in the way these practices are agreed upon within the relationship. One common theme in the research is that communication and honesty are important aspects of consensually non-monogamous relationships. For example, Garner and colleagues found that honest form of communication may also increase sexual satisfaction, as sexual needs are more likely to be met if the individual feels comfortable talking about their sexual needs and desires. In research done by Kimberly and Hans, they focused on swinging specifically and found that couples in swinging relationships created rules and boundaries for themselves. They also noted that the rules and boundaries changed over time and usually began with discussing sexual fantasies with their partner. Another aspect of swinging that has very little research is relationship satisfaction. In a study done by Rodriguez and colleagues, they found the agreements about the sexual experiences outside of the relationship showed the couple's relationship satisfaction had increased. So the more they talked about it, the more satisfied they were. Kimberly and Hans also found that swingers felt very satisfied with the marital and sexual quality of their relationship. It's important to continue researching the negotiation process in swinging relationships since there is such little research on how these rules and agreements are met by both parties. Looking into the negotiation process of a swinging relationship, specifically meaning how swingers enter into a relationship, how swingers discuss with each other prior to the start of swinging what their rules would be in the swinging relationship, or how these rules may change over time is of particular interest. Additionally, how does the negotiation process impact the couple's relationship satisfaction? So that brings me to the aims of the study, which are to understand from the perspective of swingers the negotiation process in the swinging relationship and explore how relationship satisfaction may be impacted by the negotiation process. Here are my references. Thank you.